Welcome to Nose Band-Aid in Exile. Kash Patel is testifying about Trump's 2026 budget request. They have to go back and forth on what he asks before he can approve it. And Kash Patel, the Democrats try to take shots at him and he just nukes him. And he ends up asking the big question about a certain island, if you know what I mean. Well, I'll let you see that at the end. Welcome to Doug in Exile.
No.
And if you violate federal law, you get arrested, don't you?
Yes, Senator.
That's called equal treatment under the law, isn't it?
Yes, Senator.
You remember Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, don't you?
Yes, Senator.
Strzok worked for the FBI. I think Ms. Page worked for Justice. The Inspector General found in its investigation that they hated President Trump and they really wanted Secretary Clinton to win. Is that true?
That's correct, sir.
This would be the same same Ms. Page who sent an email to Mr. Strzok with whom she was having an affair. Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right? And Mr. Strzok with the FBI, senior official at the FBI replied, quote, no, he won't. We'll stop it. Did I read that correctly?
You did, Senator.
Okay. Now, Ms. Page got quit before she could get fired. Mr. Strzok was fired. And predictably, they filed a lawsuit because in Washington, it's easier to divorce your spouse than it is to fire a federal employee. Why did the FBI give Mr. Strzok $1.2 million and Ms. Page $800,000 to settle a lawsuit?
What? Yes, it's true. Two of these traitorous FBI agents. Now, I don't have a problem with them hating Trump. You're FBI agent, you can dislike the president. You can even hate the president. You can hope he loses, but you can't work against him getting elected. And I don't mean normal working against it, like contribute to another person's campaign, but you can't do what they did, which is try to get Trump impeached, make up stories, make up claims, make up investigations, and then they get a payout by Democrats. $1 million. That's crooked.
Senator, I do not know that settlement was reached in the prior administration.
Who made the decision?
The prior Department of Justice.
Who in the prior Department of Justice?
The settlement for that kind of case can only come from the Attorney General, which would be Attorney General Merrick Garland.
So the Attorney General decided to give Mr. Strzok $1.2 million and Ms. Page $800,000 after they were fired after actively interfering in the 2016 election. Is that right?
My understanding is that was a settlement they agreed to.
Pass me the sick bucket, please. The Hunter Biden laptop.
That's John Kennedy ends up asking about the island, for which there's a lot of news these days. But this is Kash Patel with Democrat Patty Murray, and he absolutely demolishes her for claiming that he was trying to weaponize government. Now, this is the biggest smackdown I've seen Kash Patel do yet, but he straight up lets her have it.
Gang cases, 3,000 cases against violent.
Well, that's not my question. We know that you.
Well, you asked if I was weaponizing the FBI, and I am not. I'm giving you the hard, concrete examples of the men and women putting handcuffs on bad people, doing harm to our children and innocent Americans. I do not see weaponization.
You have placed on leave FBI employees responsible for the investigation of January 6th. That sounds political to me.
I have not placed anyone on leave who has not violated their ethical obligation or their oath to the Constitution.
So if they were investigating January 6th, you believe they were violating an ethical obligation?
Nope. I think the common theme here is you putting words in my mouth, and I'm not going to tolerate it, nor will the men and women of the FBI.
Boom! Beaten. She's accusing him of firing FBI or investigating FBI agents simply because they disagreed. And he goes, nope, that's not what I did. And you're putting words in my mouth. What they did was, if they broke the law, they got canned. And he's very serious about that. That is, he would do the same thing to a Republican or a Democrat. She doesn't understand that because that's what Democrats do, is if you disagree with them, they fire you and throw the book at you. And then if you do agree with them, they don't find a crime on you. They've politicized and weaponized government. He wants to go back to a public true standard.
Well, you did place on leave an analyst responsible for investigating Russia's meddling in the 2016 election. Is that politicization? Is that retribution?
No, not if she broke the law or the ethical guidelines. I don't know which case you're talking about, but that's the standard. And we will hold ourselves inwardly accountable. And we will not be strayed from our mission because people think we are politicizing the Bureau. If you want to talk about someone who was attacked by a weaponized Bureau, you're looking at him. And now he's the director of the FBI and he's cleaning it up.
Well, I would just say to everyone who's listening that the FBI needs to be focused on its mission to keep the entire country safe. It should not be weaponized for partisan political gain. Thank you,
We are.
Chairman.
He just now announced that they're arresting criminals, arresting traffickers. Because I just think, you know, it was the previous administration that wouldn't do that, wouldn't arrest traffickers. They investigated pro-life Catholics. So these Democrats are so, I hate to say this about that lady, but lying, duplicitous, everything that's wrong, about as corrupt as as an American government can get, maybe a third world country can get worse. But this is trashy. Now, here's another, all these people, these Democrats are taking shots at Kash Patel, and he's just going to demolish them one at a time. He really shows that he can handle himself in a cross-examination.
Agency. I was an impeachment manager for President Trump's second impeachment. It was a sad, solemn duty. And so I wanted to ask you about that. Mr. Patel, as you and the president continue to weaponize and investigate his perceived enemies, as you follow this blueprint, when can I, a former impeachment manager, expect the FBI at my door?
Ma'am, you want to know who was targeted by a weaponized FBI? Me. You want to know how and why?
Well,
you want to know what I'm doing to fix it?
That. Let me move on.
Well, you should
Change
read the
topics.
book because there's no enemies
So-
list on that book.
So
There are
you-
people that violated their constitutional obligations and their duties to the American people,
That's good. You
and they
gave
were
them due
rightly
process.
called out.
I'm
And
changing
you should
topics.
give that book to every one of your constituents so they can read about it.
I won't be doing that.
That's their loss.
During your Senate confirmation hearings, you repeatedly denied having any involvement as a private citizen in the firing of FBI officials who engaged in the prosecution against January 6th insurrectionists, the violent rioters who beat and killed Capitol police officers, and whom you referred to as political prisoners. Since then, multiple whistleblowers have come forward, and we know that you likely committed perjury. At the same hearing, you claimed you were not familiar with Stu Peters, an anti-Semitic Holocaust denier, despite the fact that you appeared on Mr. Peters' podcast 8 separate times. 8 times. And you claimed not to recall. Mr. Patel, my second question is, should we worry more about your memory or your veracity?
We should worry more about your lack of candor. You're accusing me of committing
Veracity?
perjury. Tell the American people how I broke the law and committed a felony.
You did.
Have the audacity to actually
Oh,
put the
all
facts
right, then
forward
the answer is
instead of
both.
lying for political banter so you can have a 20-second
answer
donation hit.
The answer is both. I believe that the
The
men and
answer is
women of
you're
the-
failing,
I
not
will
me.
play my time.
Go ahead.
I believe that the members of the FBI, and I know many of them, many retired, 38,000 people, as you say, it's a little less than that now, deserve the very best, deserve extraordinary independence, deserve freedom from the fears of being investigated, the freedom of coming forward to make sure they're doing their job.
She didn't, the Biden administration went after every whistleblower they could get. She is lying and trashy. I hate to keep going to those nasty words, but there's no other, I can't think of a worse word. It's accurate. They've politicized it. Now here's John Kennedy asking about a certain island. I'm gonna have to bleep out the name, but Kash Patel gives the same answer as Trump on whether if this person hanged himself or not.
With a brain and a beating heart. Did he hang himself or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When you think you'll have it done, Cash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
That's a great ending. Come on, I can't write this stuff. He's so funny. But I just want to notice on the anti-conspiracy, because a lot of conspiracies go around on the right. When Trump was asked if you know who hanged himself, he said he did. He was not murdered. Kash Patel. These are people who know, looking at tapes. Asked, did he kill himself? Kash Patel says, yes, he did. And that's all I'm going to comment on that. Give us a subscribe if you like the Band-Aid on the nose. I'm Doug in Exile.